my children! Unfortunately, we are nearing the end of the Hill House comics. I shouldn't be surprised if the cape and costume purveyors cared more for their superhero garbage than what was truly quality work. But at least we can still enjoy it here, my children. Basketful of Heads was probably the most heavily promoted of the Hill House comics, written by Joe Hill himself. On Brody Island in Maine, we meet June and her boyfriend Liam. Liam is finishing up a summer job as a police deputy on the island, lamenting with June how little money he has made, but of course the two still love each other and are happy to be together. Still, Liam recounts why he remained a cop, about a girl who jumped off a bridge to kill herself and how he wanted to quit the force, but Chief Clausen encouraged him to stay on. That the fact that he cared about people was what made him right for the job. Oh, but how he does care. They come across the police chief and a few other officers along with City Councilman Hamilton having stopped a van. It seems that 4 prisoners from the van have escaped. They tell Liam his help is not needed and to proceed to Clausen's house for dinner. There she meets Mrs. Clausen and her son, Hank, more a preppy than anything else. They show her around the house, including the collection of antiques, like a Viking axe that has glowing red inscriptions when they're not looking. They soon get word that the convicts seem to have stolen a boat and likely headed away from the island. Mrs. Clausen and her son head out for the night, leaving our lovebirds in charge of the house. And here's someone attempting to break in. June is told to hide away while Liam goes after the two who have broken in, and she can overhear something bad happening. She goes downstairs, discovering one of Liam's fingers cut off and one of the convicts still around. She grabs the Viking axe to defend herself, the man claiming that Liam had something they're looking for. In the ensuing chase and struggle, June is able to chop off the man's head. But there's one little problem. The head keeps talking even after coming off. Give it time and there'll be skulls like these guys. Great conversationalists as a result. June has no idea how to handle this, placing the head in a basket, while we learn that this convict was not a convict at all. The head claims that they were after money that Liam found on that dead girl who jumped off the bridge. She doesn't believe him and the phone lines are cut, so they begin a hike in the rain in case the others come in. They come across Councillor Hamilton, and she explains most of what happened, minus the talking head, but gets stopped by a fallen tree in the road. She chops at it to try to clear a path, but then he discovers the head in the back of the truck and attacks her. With no choice, she chops off his head, bringing her talking head count to 2. June's making quite the collection for herself. I bet they'd be worth something if not for the water damage. June discovers the shears used to cut off Liam's finger in Hamilton's jacket, revealing his involvement, though he denies that's what they are. She goes to the police station and meets with Hank Clausen, telling him what happened, though yet again neglecting to mention the talking heads. What's the big deal, June? Who hasn't cut off a head that kept talking afterwards? I don't know, maybe I know too many Dullahans. Hank locks her in a cell, revealing that her victims were police officers in disguise. It seems what they actually were looking for was a tape cassette. The 4 convicts are actually dead, fall guys to take the blame for the situation. Hank claims that Liam was actually working for the FBI and had a wire on him all summer. The tape's secretly about illegal dealings in the police department. He had overheard this from 2 FBI agents who were definitely staking out his house and their code name for their informant, L.E., which they took to mean Liam Ellsworth. During the break-in, Liam is claiming that someone is holding the tape for him, and if he disappears, it will end up with the FBI, Hank believing that June is the one who is doing said holding. No one is quite certain what is on the tape, though Hank believes it has to do with the suicide. Emily. Emily helped out around the house for things the regular maid couldn't do, and she had a brief affair with Hank. She got pregnant and suffered a miscarriage, probably thanks to Hank punching her, and was given money to leave and stay quiet. Chief Clausen told her that he'd be ready to arrest her on trumped-up charges if she tried anything, and then she committed suicide. Hank apparently told Liam about all this, and thus thinks that the tape is his confession to the whole affair. He believes June doesn't have the tape, but thinks they can threaten her and that will get Liam to talk. Outside, June tricks Hank into looking at the basket of heads, allowing her to retrieve the axe and cut off Hank's head, though she also has to cut off her own thumb to escape the handcuffs he put her in. The first head claims that the money thing was true. Liam took the money off of Emily's body, though he suspects he handed it over to the FBI as evidence. June threatens Hank to call his father to try to lure him back to the station, but he doesn't bite, only saying he'll stay with the boat he's on. She learns where it is and heads out there, discovering Liam tied up on it. But unfortunately, Chief Clausen set the trap for her, since Hank included a code word in his call. Liam keeps pleading that there is no tape, but Clausen just ties up June and throws her in the water. Fortunately, he did the same thing to her beheading axe, so she's able to use it to cut herself free and get back on the boat. Clausen admits that he really thinks that Liam is telling the truth now, expositing about the axe. That supposedly the axe bit into the wood of Yggdrasil, the life tree, and that it brings life, not death. Does that mean June's cut off thumb is still alive? June sneaks up on Clausen and chops him up but good. Liam reveals that indeed he has no tape. He was not the informant. The reason he had no money was because he bought June an engagement ring. But Clausen informs her that Liam is not entirely innocent. He did take the money from Emily, but not her corpse. It seems she didn't die immediately upon jumping. Liam found her. He claims that she was as good as dead anyway, and ended her life as a mercy. And after everything that's happened, especially with this final revelation, June kills Liam as a mercy as well. One more head for the pile. She sets the boat on fire with both Liam and Clausen on it, then discards the heads and axe over a bridge. She's picked up by the Clausen's maid, who assumes that she's going to attempt to kill herself too. She reveals that she was the informant, Ellie being a shorthand nickname for Ellie, and she wanted vengeance for what happened to Emily, whom she was rooting for the whole time. And hey, the rain has finally stopped, and the sun is rising. Although the sun will not likely be rising anytime soon for all the heads she cut off. But that may only be temporary, my children. Basketful of Heads is the only Hill House comic to get a sequel. And we'll talk about that one another time.